Hello again and welcome to this week's briefing. Last week, Stephanie Hare and I set out some of the key dates in September to which we could look to understand something of the way in which the euro area crisis would unfold. Dates that will be decisive for the shaping of that resolution, if resolution there is to be. And September the 6th, today, the day of this briefing, is one of those dates. It's when the ECB is unfolding, and they're doing it as we speak, their bond buying programme, their intervention in the money markets to bring down the price of borrowing for the distressed Mediterranean economies of Europe. Now let's unfold this package a little bit, and I'm with Vanessa Rossi today to do that, region head for the global economy. Vanessa, perhaps a little bit of basics on what the ECB is planning to do. It's long promised, and now they've set it out.
Yes, and the first thing that was evident was that the interest rate structure has not changed.
Yep.
So the ECB did not cut its 0.75 interest rate today. Slightly disappointing, perhaps some people, but I think quite understandable in the sense that Draghi is trying to create a double act here of promising to do more to provide money and assistance, but at the same time maintaining monetary stability. And of course, keeping that interest rate may slightly protect the euro and give some kind of degree of confidence regarding inflation outlook, particularly to those who worry about it in Germany and the Bundesbank. Right. So that was part of it. The other part of it, which is being unveiled, is of course the intention to directly purchase bonds for those countries which are distressed, under pressure from what are now considered to be unnecessary strains within the financial markets, and therefore the ECB feels that it has a clear mandate to be able to give assistance in those cases. Importantly, however, they do seem to be sticking to the formula that countries will first have to request assistance and be part of a fiscal austerity programme in order to qualify for these interventions, yes, which will be called outright monetary transactions. The ECB will therefore go in, buy bonds, including bonds which are still active in the market with some date to maturity.
Okay, so that's the firepower that we've been looking for, but it's only one element of the picture, isn't it? Because the second of the key dates we spoke about last week was the date in which we're expecting a decision from the German Constitutional Court as to the status of the funding mechanisms, the rescue mechanisms on which these countries will draw.
Yes, the sequencing clearly is not the best. Draghi therefore has to be careful what he can commit to, and has clearly identified this linkage of the direct bond buying with the programme, the country being in a programme in order to qualify for funding and assistance, so that we can then see how he would maintain some kind of discipline over countries which were being aided to keep interest rates down. But of course, in order to be part of those packages and to receive assistance, we need to get the confirmation that the whole of this assistance programme is rolling forward, and there is at least some danger that a negative vote in Germany could rule this out, and then of course we'll be back to square one on anything to do with Eurozone movements out of the debt crisis. So we really have the biggest hurdle still to come. If that's fitted into place, then Draghi has clearly provided the amount of money on the table that will therefore get us through any potential bailout of a country as large as Spain. And that's quite critical. That's quite critical to guarantee the Spanish amount of money, which would not otherwise be there. So the ECB's participation gets us over that problem. The Italian question, I think they will very much hope will go away if there's a successful programme to stabilise the existing countries in difficulty and Spain. And certainly by next year, if they're hoping that growth will start to reappear again, then we could begin to move out of the Eurozone crisis. So sequencing is everything, and pushing the can down the road certainly has considerable advantages.
This pushing the can metaphor has been pushed a bit far itself, but we ought to stick to it because it's quite a helpful one. What we're seeing here is the resolution, the political resolution to preserve the integrity of the euro area, and the steps being taken to make sure that can happen. One of the principal risks or dilemmas that remains, however, it seems to me, is that arising from the case of a country, let's say it's Spain, might not be, but let's say it is, that says we'd like the money, we'll sign up for it, but then find 6 months later their economy is not picking up, either domestically or the global economy is not picking up in the way that is needful for them to meet the terms and conditions. What kind of sanction does the person writing the cheques in this case have?
Well, this is where we know Draghi has not got a completely open chequebook. He's being very guarded. It is clear that they can commit as much money as is needed, but the terms and conditions under which they will do that are also clear, in terms of countries having to meet the specifications of austerity programmes, having to make efforts to move away from the debt crisis. I think the get-out clause, though, and Draghi has been quite careful at bringing this in, is there's two issues. The one is whether countries are under exceptional stress because of a fear in the markets of Eurozone breakup that's unreasonable. So he's identified that as one additional criteria to aid countries. And the other one, of course, are the economic circumstances. This year's lapse back into recession has also been used as a rationale as to why countries may need a little more leeway than was originally given to them. And I think we've heard some sympathetic noises about both those issues from elsewhere in the Eurozone too. So it's not a blank checkbook, but it certainly gives you a little bit more leeway to play with if this situation is longer drawn out and a little more costly than originally planned.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. And thank you for watching this video. The European crisis is at the heart of much of the work we do at Oxford Analytica in both our analysis and our advisory practices, and it will figure prominently at the agenda at our Global Horizons 2012 conference, which starts here in Oxford on September the 19th. If you'd like to find out more about any aspect of our work on Europe, or indeed beyond, we'd be delighted to hear from you. Do contact us via our website.